Hey, this is Rod Cleef, and you are listening to the Mailbox Money Show with Bronson Hill.
Welcome to the Mailbox Money Show. I'm your host, Bronson Hill. I'm super excited to be here today. And some of you guys have been following me for a while. I talk a lot about mindset, limiting beliefs, expanding what you feel you're worthy of. One of the things I've come up with is this idea of wealth worthiness, right? A lot of people don't feel like they're worthy, or maybe they want to be worthy, or they feel it in their mind, but they don't actually have that space to hold it in their heart. And so I'm super excited today. I've got Natalia here with me. I don't know how to say your last name. It looks
That's
awesome,
okay.
but very excited to have you here. And she actually has an app that she created. She's got a whole platform called the Effortlessly Abundant Life, I was actually on her podcast recently. And she has an app called Feel on Cloud Nine, and it's all about subconscious rewiring. Because a lot of times we'll go into situations and we want something and we'll self-sabotage, or we don't actually show up in a way that we want to show up. And so this is a way we actually can change that. So I'm super excited to have a conversation around this, around limiting beliefs, around changing some of the subconscious rewiring. So Natalia, welcome. How are you doing today? It's always good to see you.
Ah, I'm so excited to be here. Truly, truly, truly. So thank you so much for having me. And whoever is listening to it, just know you're meant to listen to whatever needs to be heard here. So thank you so much for being with us.
That's something I really appreciated about you when I was on your show. You have such a way of just really showing up, being fully present, and just really creating the space. And I think a lot of people just like it's so easy when you do podcasts, you just go on a podcast and how'd you get started? You just tell the same stories and whatever, but like just being
Right.
present and just like really having a life that's like on fire, right? Like I'm like, yes, like it's another day. I love it. So
Exactly.
I've started doing this
Exactly.
gratitude thing in the morning where it's like a priming exercise where you go in and you just really enter into like the moments that you're grateful for, right? You actually relive those moments and you just are there. And so then you let those stack in your heart. So then you just like it takes like 15 minutes, but then I do it. I'm just like, yes, like I just feel so happy for the day. It just
Yes. It's
starts you
so
in a
important.
place that we're like, because a lot of times we don't realize we're just primed by all these things that happen in our life. And there's that famous study that where you hear about this, the hot and cold coffee. You heard about this, where people
Yes.
they went into the park. For those that don't know, somebody said, "Hey, can you hold this for a minute?" And it was either hot or cold coffee. It was 100 different actors went up to random people, and then about 20 minutes later, somebody came around and said, "Hey, would you, here I've got $20 for you if you'll take a short survey." 90% of the people said yes, and it was basically they read a character description that was 3 paragraphs, and then so they said, "Well, how would you describe this person?" And the people that got cold coffee, they said 81% of them said the person was cold and distant. And then 80%, just a 1% difference of the one that got hot coffee, said that the person was warm and inviting. So it's just so funny how we're so primed. So anyway, that's a very big intro. Very excited to have you. Why don't you give people a little bit of your journey with this limiting beliefs? And like, I'd actually be curious, how did this become your thing? This has become like, when I think of this topic, I think of you. So how did this become your thing?
It's a lifetime of development because I originally moved to United States when I was 21 after my military service in Israel to become an opera singer. I thought that I want to be the greatest opera singer in the world. That was my mission. And I did what I had to do and thinking that moving to New York City and learning from the best of the best and enrolling myself with the best schools and programs and living the dream is going to make me happy and make me feel fulfilled, and doing this for 8 years, doing major roles, teaching,
Yeah.
kind of got me to a point where I felt like something is off. It's not something that is truly was in my deep, deep, deep purpose like I thought it would. And when I was teaching, I realized that I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I did my undergrad and I did my master's in education. And to be certified in New York City, it's a whole thing. It's almost like becoming a doctor. It's a really intensive type of program and process. And I realized after 4 years being a music director in a school that I don't want to do this anymore. So what the hell am I going to do? And a friend of mine that I met through college, her family owns an electrical contracting business in New York City. And she wanted to open her own woman owned. And she saw me working on the weekdays, teaching, then opening my own music school afternoon, then taking private clients, teaching voice. And then on the weekends, I would take a sales job selling perfumes and skincare just to get by. I was literally on survival mode and I would work 7 days every day, all day, and barely get by.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like a light moment where I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Right. And after a major breakup that I had, I was engaged and the
Mm.
whole thing, it was, it's a whole other story. But that kind of forced me completely to change my life and really awaken into my soul and kind of disrupt the patterns and what I thought I needed to do in order to be happy and successful in this world. So I took her opportunity to work with her in her business, and we started this thing together. And I was, like, as a salesperson in the pharmaceutical world, you go out there and you hustle and you knock on
Yeah.
doors and you do cold calls and you email and you go to networking events and coffees and lunch and all this. And I would work around the clock to get some traffic, to get some prospect, to get some deals done. And again, that same kind of motive of working hard, working many hours, doing all the strategies you're supposed to do, and not really seeing the results that you want and the kind
Yeah.
of like reaping the benefits of all the work that you've been doing, right? So 2 years into that, COVID hit in 2020, if you remember.
Yeah.
Right?
You could
This
do any
little
of that
thing.
anymore. Yeah, yeah, it's a little thing called
It's just a
COVID.
little thing, no big deal. And it forced me to stay at home. It forced me to think. It forced me to calm down because I was literally on the verge of collapsing physically, mentally. I was chronically sick every 2 weeks. I was sick for 4 days, couldn't function. So my body was signaling to me. And also this frustration, like, what the hell is going on? I'm putting all this hard work. I'm doing all the right thing. People telling me, yes, 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 I will sign. I will sign, and deals are not being closing. I'm getting micromanaged by my partner and my boss, and it's just feeling this constant feeling of failure, right?
Yeah.
And I really was forced to look within. All right. I remember going to Tony Robbins event, doing the priming. That opened myself to more of that, okay,
Mm.
meditation and to kind of more of the mindset. But I really had to go deeper. And what I found, the best thing that helped me to change my life to where I more than tripled, more than doubled my income, and now working harder, was through rewiring my subconscious mind. Because as you know, 98% of our reality is a projection of what we believe and what we know to be true. Everything. So nothing is
Well,
outside of
let's just
you.
stop. So
Yeah.
98% of your mind, 98% of our perception is just simply our subconscious interpreting information.
There's nothing that lives outside of you. Nothing. Everything is going through your own filter of what you believe. So we can look at the same spot and you will notice completely different things than what I would notice.
Yeah.
You would perceive the
Oh,
same person. I can look, and we all, like, let's look at politics, right? We can have one person and he's gonna say to you, he's the worst, he's the devil, don't even think about it, it's da 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 da. And the other person gonna say, look at him, is gonna say, wow, he's the greatest thing in the world, thank God is here. Right?
yeah. Yeah, for
Everybody
sure.
has a perception of the person through what they see themselves.
Yeah.
And this is what we call the law of reflection. It's and the universal law.
Yeah.
So you want to change your life? Don't look outwards. Don't go to the screen of your movie. Go right where you're projecting the movie, which is
I
your
think it's
brain.
so true. I think so many people, we want to change things and it's like it's all externals. I'm going to work harder, and I can totally relate with your story. I'm sure a lot of our listeners can as well. My dad is a great guy, and he maybe listen to this, but like, he really taught me about hard work, which is great. Like hard work is, it's the kind of the first thing. We all know people that work super hard, like you, they make no money and they're like a slave to money. Like they just literally are working all the time. And so the idea of changing the way that you think about everything, and even your frame and the way that you perceive. And in my learning, one of the things I discovered in interviewing over 2,500 millionaires is that a lot of them have a different frame when it comes to worthiness. And so for a lot of people, I'd love to know your take on this, is that a lot of people kind of take incremental jumps where they'll kind of go from like, okay, I've got a job, I make $100,000, then I get a promotion, I'm at 125, then I went to 150. It kind of happens over, and then they kind of feel like, okay, now I'm really worthy of this. And then, but there's some people that have like these huge jumps. They go from like, okay, I'm making, 50K to now I'm making $5 million, like some crazy amount. And it happens because like usually because they were able to change their way that they looked at and what they felt they were worthy of, right? So it's kind of that worthiness factor. But how do people change that? How do you rewire your subconscious?
Ooh, such a big question. But let's think about, first of all, why we work so hard. It's a badge of honor, right? It's this, I worked hard for this. Like,
Yeah.
I deserve this. What do you mean? It didn't just fall in my lap. And that is the whole problem. And I think, especially in the United States, moving from Europe, right? In Israel is also, we vary. They're even harder working than here. Like, they're in survival mode. Absolutely. But I feel that if you go into Europe right now, they don't work as hard as us. They have their siestas. They have 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, you can't even
Like
find
six
somebody
hours,
between two to
six, six,
four.
6 weeks minimum vacation, I think. Like, it's like the start, like it's like,
And
what if I'm
that's
doing?
normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
After you give birth, you have at least 1 year paid leave, and
Yeah.
then a year afterwards where you can choose to stay home, but obviously you're not going to get paid for it, but at least you have the option. Here, after 3 months, and as far as I know, as max you're going to get is maybe 4 months, you have to come back. And if not, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And that is the whole notion of this is the badge of honor they're wearing. And again, we're proud of it because it gives us a sense of purpose. It gives us a sense of like, I did something.
Like, I did it. I pulled out. See what I did. Yeah, I worked hard. I worked with my own two. And some people share the story, even like parents or other like relatives, and you see it. And it's like, well, that's great, but like, yeah, there's that. But
But
why?
is it
Why is that?
sustainable?
Yeah, but
Is
why
it
is that? Why?
sustainable?
Why do we have
Right.
pride around? Why do we have pride around that? Like, why is that even a thing that we should work hard?
Because again, if we work hard, it makes us legitimate to get whatever it is that
We
we want.
deserve it. Yeah,
We feel deserve of that.
right.
And it's almost like if you're getting something for free, there's something wrong about it. What do you mean you got it for free? What's the catch here?
Yeah,
But let's be honest. We came to this world, and I'm talking about spirituality right now. So, but I know you believe in God and source
yeah,
and you're Christian. So that's something you definitely believe in as well, is we didn't have to pay for our eyes, for our
yeah,
perception, for our hands, for our
yes,
breathing, for even our who we are. We're just
yeah,
born into that.
yeah,
So if we didn't have to pay for being here, right? And we just came here into this world,
yeah,
and obviously we've been provided with food when we were in the womb for 9 months. We've been provided with everything that we needed, right? And if you look into nature, everything is provided for. So there's something that is a human-made factor that separated us from source, that separate from this idea that we have to pay for our existence. We have to prove our existence. We have to prove that we're worthy of receiving anything that we want, even as basic as shelter, food, or anything like that. So let's just thinking about that concept. So when you realize that, you start to take a close, like a macro vision of that and understand, okay, so it's not natural. So therefore, I can change it,
yeah,
right? And then when you have this awareness, you ask yourself, okay, where I learned this pattern that I need to really work hard for anything that I want in my life? Well, I learned it from my parents. All right. Where they learned it from their parents and the great grandparents. And guess what? You also hold it in your DNA.
hmm,
So, how you work through your subconscious rewiring, it's a 360 transformational. You can't just do it through your mind. You can't just do it through your thinking. It's first of all, you have to go to the root cause. Okay. So, yes, we can focus only on the positive, but there is a root cause. It's almost like you got hit by something, right?
mm,
And you going to completely ignore that, okay? And the wound is getting bigger and bigger and deeper and is getting infected with more germs, but you're ignoring that and you focusing on something else, only on the good things in your body. It still needs to be addressed, right? And still needs to be looked at, cleaned, truly disinfected from the core in order to be healed and actually get better, right? So people
yeah,
don't think it about that. That's what I call the energetic surgeries that I do, where we go into the root cause. And a lot of times where I take my clients, it's 300 lifetimes ago, or it's in this lifetime, but maybe in the wound, or anything like that. They carried for multiple lives where they learned this behavior. That is not something we inherit. We didn't born with. It's something we learn from somewhere and we adapt it to ourselves. So we need
sure.
to release it. So by healing it on the root cause, rewriting the story of what happened, taking your power back energetically, physically, mentally, emotionally, now you have a choice. Now you decide of who you are and who you really are.
Well, it's really
That's the
amazing
first
too.
step.
A lot of people, if you just look at poor people and wealthy people, just there's different beliefs, habits, everything is different. And like and I grew up very middle class. I mean, my dad's a teacher, mom's a teacher. And but if I didn't go out and earn it, like it wasn't going to happen. But I've seen as I change, as I continue to, like you said, go back to that source. I even think there's, so on a difference, this aligns with what you're saying. So with my kind of frame, my background, being a Christian, if you go back to the original, kind of what you're saying, the original stuff of like Adam and Eve in the garden, right? There's Adam sins, and the curse is, by the sweat of your brow you will toil. Up to
Mm.
that point, he had been cultivating with God in the garden. Like they would have been tending a garden together. And then from that point, it became that there was a toil. And so whenever I fall into like work feels really hard or something's really
Mhm.
difficult, I'm in toil here, right? That I can
Yes.
actually say, how do I go back and say, and I think that there's some things that set us free from that, to where we actually can be in a place where we're back to cultivation. We're in a place where we're actually creating with God. And so anyway, it is very spiritual, but I love that you have a spiritual side of it as well. Okay,
Absolutely.
so to go back to the source, so I know you have an app here, there's a lot here you're doing. So, okay, somebody's saying, yes, I need to go back to the source. What does that look like? Or what's the frame for that?
For source? What do you mean?
Yeah, what's the work? What does somebody need to do to,
Oh,
once they identify that, oh yeah, okay, I've been like, what do they need to do? Like what's, the
so
three things they need.
what I do is the first time session is, first of all, we go to the root cause and heal that, right? Where do we learn from? Where is that?
Oh,
What happened in that specific moment? And we, through subconscious rewiring, we heal it, we change the story, we take a power back, and then we start to implement more of these beliefs that improving ourselves, like, hey, you know, I didn't work hard and I just found a quarter on the streets. Like you just walked, okay?
yeah,
Or I'm sure everybody had this moment where like something supernatural happened, this magical moment where you didn't expect it, but you got this
yeah,
phone call, or you got this opportunity, or you found,
yeah,
maybe you got a
yeah,
check from IRS telling you they actually owe you money. Like
yeah,
miracles always constantly happen, but we're not noticing. And because of low focus, if we're focusing on only on hard work, you're going to get more of that. If you're going to start
yeah,
focusing and giving gratitude and
yeah,
really taking that not for granted, these moments of and these opportunities and physical things around you that you have, you're going to start attract more of that. So
yeah,
it's the root cause healing along with the embodiment that you need to cultivate for every single day, basically, because I'm still working on more capacity to receive. We
yeah,
all think, okay, you think, okay, whatever your income is what is like, okay, if I'm going to make that number, I'm good, I'm set. But it's not about the number. It's really about, again, coming back to the spirituality, how close can we get to source? How can I let more light and source to move through me? Because money is all just a physical representation of light moving through you. How much you allow yourself to receive more, to be more, to have more. That is the whole thing. It's not about the money. We don't care about the money if we cannot use it to enjoy our life, to be
yeah.
more in freedom, to spend it with the people that we love. So it's so much more than money.
It reminds me of the like the scarcity mindset versus the abundant mindset. Robert Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. He said this. He said that poor people, or middle class, like they look for jobs, but the wealthy look for networks. And so it's the idea of like, do I really believe that there's enough? Because if you're just looking from a scarcity, oh, I need a job, I need to have, I need stuff, whatever. If you just walk out and you're abundant and you're like, ah, look what I have, is amazing. Like it's amazing when things just kind of show up and the right person shows up, a business relationship, because there's abundance, right? And you're living from a place of abundance. And so, how much of it is like, I guess how you're framed, like you said, like connecting to source, like you're just showing up in a way that you're open to receive all the good things that are out there, right? That's kind of sounds like what you're saying, right?
Right. I feel the problem is for us is not the challenges. What people fear the most is to have more, to receive more love. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not just worthy of receiving so much love. It's overwhelming. And that's what we're working on, is to have your vessel to be able to hold the millions of dollars, because it's not just to attract $1 million. It's about to be able to hold them. How many people we know that got the business to make millions and they completely lost everything and they manifested lawsuits, or if they won the lottery, they spend it all. It's not about having or receiving the manifestation. It's about actually enjoying,
Yeah.
and having it to be so normal for you. And in order to get there, you have to be in that place, to be this millionaire mindset and
Yeah.
identity, even before you see it in your bank account. It's
Yeah.
again, it's this embodiment version of yourself, to be able to see yourself as a millionaire. And
Yeah.
and that is the true work before you
Yeah.
see the
Yeah.
results. Because when you get the millions, you're like, oh, it's totally normal for me. It's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
your nervous system is not being activated and thinking there's a danger. No,
I
there's no
know.
danger. It's just this natural next step.
Yeah, or a billionaire, right? Or it's whatever you feel you're worthy to receive. There's an interesting documentary. It's called Broke. It's a 30 for 30 ESPN documentary about athletes, and it shows that like 85% of the NFL and NBA players are bankrupt literally within 5 years, and it's all the different trappings. It's like the women and the business deals and the people from the hood that also feel entitled, and all these people have had no financial education because they didn't become the person. It's that whole be do have right thing. Everybody wants to have the stuff, but they don't want to become that person and then do the things that that person, a wealthy person does, and then actually have the wealth. And so it's like you said, most people's plan is to win the lottery or have their rich uncle die or something, and then they'll be wealthy. But if you haven't had the ability to hold that, and I call it character, but as you don't have the in place, you don't have that identity that shows that you're this person. There's no way you're gonna stay there, and that's where we have a hard time with it. So can somebody go then from like totally broke to like I don't know, a billionaire like super quickly? Is that possible? And if it's
Of
possible,
course, it's possible.
well, what?
Everything is possible. But
Yes,
going back to NFL, it's very important what you brought out, because I realized the reason why I went to opera singing and specifically stage is because I wanted the recognition.
yeah,
And when we place our identity and our worth in money, in
yeah,
others people's opinion, in the applause, in the fame and all these things, that whatever NFL or opera singing or whatever you think it's going to give you, you are in trouble.
yeah,
You have to place your worth and your self-worth only on yourself and have it to be completely detached from how much money you make, and if you're married or not, if you have the business that is making a certain amount or not. Be completely detached from it, because it's conditional. The minute you give yourself unconditional love, that is source love. That's how we strive as human beings to love ourselves as much as source loves us, right? And love us unconditionally. And guess what? When you actually come from that place, you emit this very powerful energy of like, I don't need you. I don't need you to love me. I don't need you to approve me. I don't need you to sign this contract with me. You already embody this in your energy field, and people want that.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
comes from, again, a neutral and a healthy place. So all these NFL players that we know, and I see them and I meet them sometimes, you can see it's coming from a deep wounded place of being wanting to get recognized, getting the,
Mhm.
like, why you need 500 women, why you need 500 millions, where, it's like
Yeah,
they do it because, again, maybe they had a father figure that wasn't there and when they were born,
yeah,
and they were striving to get that attention or something like that. So you have to, again, address the root cause, because, again, it's, you don't want to be your drive to come from what we call a negative drive. We want it to come from a neutral, healthy drive that is going to long last you, and you're not going to have this crash that we
yeah.
see with a lot of these famous
Yeah,
people.
it's for the wrong reasons. Like you said, it's to fill what lacks there. I mean, for me, so it's interesting. I did come from a religious background. I went through a divorce 7 years ago. I've been a
Mhm,
youth pastor previously, so I felt a lot of shame around that, right? Just like my own
mhm,
personal story. And then my sister introduced me to this book by Brené Brown that was The Gifts of Imperfection. And the idea is kind of exactly what you're saying, is that like as humans, we are wired for struggle, and we're worthy of love and belonging just as we are. So there's no prerequisite for that. And I think that's something I didn't, it's a kind of a subtle thing, but like if
mhm.
if you're enough just for who you are, where you're at, then you're enough. Like there's nothing you have to prove. And that's the whole thing that
Exactly.
like it doesn't at the end, it doesn't really matter whether you get $1 billion or you have just enough. Like it's all just kind of bonus because you're already enough. Like it doesn't matter. Like
Exactly.
and then
That is where you want to
and then
be.
you're really free. And then you're like, okay, like
Exactly.
I want to do this. I want to create this stuff. It's kind of up to God and like how, the life, how this will happen if it turns out. But regardless, like I'm going to choose to be happy and grateful today. And then you're living out of abundance, right?
But here's the thing, and maybe it's controversial, but that's what I believe. I believe Source God has his hands off. And because he loves us so much, it gives us the ability to choose. We have ability to choose. If we have the ability to choose, we have the ability to manifest and create the life that we want. Period. End of story. That's why we see not great things and we ask ourselves how Source allowed this to happen or how God
Sure.
made it happen. It's not God, it's us. And because we have free will, we have also ability to use it for destruction and also to creation, right?
Wow.
So it's all about knowing how powerful you are and take your power back and
Yeah.
saying, I'm enough because I'm enough, because I
Yeah.
was born. I'm extension of Source. Like you're not just this flesh and veins and blood. You're an electromagnetic being. The universe, the planet Earth you are in that was created, you are actually made from the same atoms. Same, absolutely same thing.
Mm.
So everything is one. You are part of this. Now the question is, because we have the ability to choose what we believe and what we believe to be true, now it's the fun to time to co-create with Source and expand him through expanding yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's really beautiful. No, it's great. No, but it really it's amazing. The more I talk about money, the more spiritual it is, and the more like
You have to.
the more you go after money. And then there's some proverbs like in the book of Proverbs in the Bible, like where it's like if you take a glance at riches, they're gone. Kind of this idea of like if you just pursue it for the sake of pursuing it. There's a lot of people in the financial space that I call it the yachts and Mai Tai lifestyle, right? Like I want to live this life and that's all great, but there's no purpose there. So
It's
what's the
boring.
role of like, yeah,
Mhm.
where's the role of like where's the sense of like purpose? I think one core belief I have is just like, we're here for a reason. We have a limited amount of time and we do come from abundance like you're sharing. But what am I here to do? Like what's the like I do this thing and I feel like I come alive or I feel like I'm in this thing and like it sounded like you did opera singing because you felt like you needed to get those accolades and you're probably pretty good at it. But after a
I
while, it
was
was like
great at it,
you were
but
great at it. I'm
again,
sure. Yeah, yeah, you were really good.
but
You
I
were
felt
amazing
dead
at it,
inside.
but you felt dead inside. So for
Mhm.
you now, I can tell when you talk about this, Natalia, you light up. You're like, this is why I've been put on this earth is to talk about this, right? And so, like,
Exactly.
talk to us about like discovery of purpose and like how does that fit in with this too?
I feel purpose is something that, as you said, it's something you discover. It's not something you can read about. It's not something you can prejudge or pre-decide and say, okay, this is my purpose and this is what I'm going to do. Like they want us to do when we're 19 years old, planning to go to college. Like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Life is unfolding and you're going to feel like you have multiple lives and multiple versions of you come alive and die as you live. And that is the purpose,
Hmm.
to rebuild yourself, to expand yourself, to listen to your intuition. That is the most important thing that I feel that this is the most important skill that every entrepreneur should have. Not to go to business consultants, not to ask your tax guy or anybody else other than yourself, because Source gave you this beautiful guidance to walk you through life in the way that works for you. Because one, advice can be great for somebody, but not for you. That's why I don't want to take any more business courses. I don't want to take anybody's else advice because it worked for them, but not necessarily it's going to work for me. That's why I really so passionate about creating a life and a business because it's an extension of who you are from a place that is authentic. And what is authentic? It's actually a representation of you. So, first of all, if you want to know your purpose, start listening to intuition. What is your intuition? It's not your emotions. It's not going to feel happy, happy, and I'm so excited about that. And the next day, you're like, why the hell I signed up for this? Like, I don't want to be in this. It's a more neutral and it's something that, like a muscle, we need to train. And the more you trust it, the more it's going to appear and the more louder it's going to become. And that is the beauty. And by listening to that and living authentically and not feel there is like, "Ugh, I'm going against myself. I'm going
Yeah.
against what I feel in my core, my values." That's where you know, like, oh, you're
Yeah.
not in the right path. And that is the evolution of why we're here. And that's why it makes it so exciting. Like, we're not gonna know what our purpose is when we're gonna be before,
Yeah.
God forbid, we're gonna die. We're gonna look back and it's like, oh, now I get it. And that's the
So
whole purpose.
yeah, so I just think of a lot of our listeners. This has been a great conversation, by the way, but just a lot of our
Thank
listeners
you.
that are hearing this, like you said, to live from a place of purpose, what makes you come alive. I think I've always been taught that too, that passions are just a gift, from our creator, and just how do we like? There's only so many things that we feel lit up about, and they can change, but just really living true to that, I think it's so important. And when you see somebody who's come alive, it's like it's just so contagious. Whatever it is, like, oh my gosh, I want to be around that person. They're amazing. So how do you? Okay, I'm thinking of. Now, I'm thinking of a guy who's 55 years old and he's got three kids and he's, going through life and he's got his business and things are just kind of set and he's got kind of enough. What would you say to someone who's like, okay, I feel like I've kind of created what I want to create with my life and whatever, but like who's kind of, maybe on the second half of life, but just like, okay, what next? Like what's next for me in this, right? Like I've done what I needed to do. I've had some fun with my job, my work, career, family, all that, but like I just feel like I want something more. I want to be able to create something more with my life.
So, first of all, I would ask yourself or whoever you're referring to, what is this more feels like? Because it's a feeling, right? It's this, again, perception of like, oh, I want to create a different business. Oh, I want to travel. Oh, I want this. Oh, I want that, right? It's all comes down to a feeling that we think this thing that represent that is going to give us, right?
Right.
Most likely, it's probably just more creativity and more passion. And again, I'm not about burning bridges, moving from where you live in a city and live somewhere in the woods and completely like live
Yeah.
by yourself. Like that is not how you escape the matrix. You escape the matrix by first of all not escaping, but breaking the patterns.
Yeah.
And how you break the patterns, again, we're not doing from outside in, we're doing from the inside out.
Yeah.
So when we really get clear of what the feeling that we want to feel, now let's see how we can cultivate that feeling within our existing life.
Yeah.
Where can I find more creativity in my life? How can maybe I can go and just for fun, again, not for the sake of making money or somebody telling me, oh my God, you did such a great job. Like, can I go for a painting workshop and just paint something just out of my own enjoyment?
Yeah.
Follow what's exciting and feels exciting for you at the moment and see how is going to give you another breadcrumb and another
Yeah.
clue for what it is going to give you.
Yeah, I always feel like being curious, being curious in new situations. I did an improv class recently, and I did acting in high school just for a play or two. That's the last time I did improv. So it's been years and years, probably 25 years. But I did it, and it felt really uncomfortable. But like, there's something about like just doing things that are outside my comfort zone, like trying new to travel.
Yes.
That's why I love travel. That's why I'm learning. I've been working on my Spanish again. I'm on day 90 of Duolingo, or just trying to. It's
Wow.
like the learning of the new things is like you just never know like what's it's going to spark, what it's going to open up for you. So I think having that, being curious about yourself, is awesome. Natalia, you are super inspirational. I'm super
Thank
excited
you.
to get into your stuff. You have an app out that people can they can reach out to you, they can kind of follow your effortlessly, actually I say it, it's effortless once I
Good,
say it,
good.
abundant life. They
Yes.
can follow you. So can you kind of give people a heads up of how they can reach out and how people can reach out and connect with you? Of
Absolutely. Thank you so, so much for your incredible, just like you build this space. So thank you for doing this.
course.
So for people who want to start digging into their subconscious and they just want to try it out for themselves, Feel on Cloud9, which is my app, is available for both Android and Apple. Go ahead. It's only $22 a month, and you get 7-day free trial where you can truly start having this 15 minutes a day where you can start feeling the difference, because it's all, we can talk about it all day long. It's about, again, feeling it. And it's a beautiful combination between breath work, subconscious rewiring, and energy work all in one sitting. So you don't need to do multiple other things to get the results. I did all the work for you and combined it through this app. And if you're interested to go dive deeper, schedule a one-on-one session with me where we can go into the root cause of what keeps you stuck in the same loop, and you can get out of it. If you want more money, if you want more abundance, more opportunities, and get yourself out of your own matrix by hacking your subconscious mind, you're going to find me at Effortlessly Abundant Life on my Instagram, or effortlesslyabundantlife@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to schedule a session with you.
Natalia, thank you so much. You're wonderful. I just downloaded your app a few minutes ago before we started. I'm excited to get in and enjoy it. So
excited.
we'll
Welcome. Welcome to the cult. I'm just kidding.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully not. But to no, all this stuff is awesome. The breath work, the learning, the growth, the just, being open to reinvent yourself is huge. So thank you for being here. We'll look forward to connecting soon. I really enjoyed being on your show and love what you're creating. So grateful for you, Natalia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have an amazing day.
All right. Well, I hope you are fired up, because I'm fired up. I love talking about mindset because, again, I've realized that for me to get to the next level, I've got to think differently and I've got to be differently, right? If I show up and I believe I'm worthy of it, if I show up, if I've actually worked on those things, I've actually just walked into situations where I've made partnerships where it's generated $1 million in revenue or something, right? It's been unbelievable. And so I really believe in this. And so, part of, my story, 20 plus, X my net worth to multiple seven figures within 4 years, right? That happened because I just continue to do the work. So encourage you. And it's not just, it's this mindset work, but it's also therapy. And it's also being willing to look at the hard things and the journaling and the friends and being open to, when you go through challenges, being able to reinvent yourself. So hopefully you got something out of this really valuable. We'd love to hear from you. Love for you to share this episode. And if you have anybody you want me to interview, I'd love to be able to interview them. I'd love to be able to know who your suggestion is, who I should get, or if you have any introductions. Always looking for that. But I really appreciate you taking the time to educate yourself, because this is the work. This is how we get better, right? So we want to talk about Mailbox Money Show. We want to talk about wealth. We want to talk about different forms of financial freedom. We also want to talk about just the freedom to really be able to enjoy what you have, to be content where you're at, to be somebody who's living out of abundance. Because if you have very little, but you're free, and again, I give an example of somebody who has, $5 million, makes $5 million a year, and they'll only be happy when they make 10 million, and there's no problems with their kids. Well, they're never going to be happy, versus a guy who just jumps out of bed and is just super on fire to be alive, right? And so you talk to somebody who's a cancer survivor, talk to somebody who's been through a lot, and all of a sudden they sometimes just have this energy. It's like, yeah, I just want some of that. So hopefully you're feeling that energy. Hopefully you found something those things that really light you on fire. And it's more than just dollars and cents in bank accounts. It's actually purpose, it's mission, it's living from a place of, as Natalia says, just source or God, or just that, what am I here to do, and really living from that place. So hope you're doing that. On that note, if you haven't joined our investment club, we offer ways to really create financial freedom for yourself, for your family, for others. We found some amazing cash flowing investments. We really shifted from just financial freedom to really cash flow, because real estate is great, but it hasn't offered a lot of cash flow lately. And so we've offered some deals in the business space, oil and gas, debt funds, other types of things that offer cash flow. So reach out to us, the link below, go to the BronsonEquity.com website, click the join button. We'll start a relationship with you, and you'll hear about some of these amazing deals. So thanks for taking the time to educate yourself. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Mailbox Money Show. You've been listening to the Mailbox Money Podcast. For more free resources, articles, and videos, go to BronsonEquity.com. There you can download your copy of the special report, The Single Best Investment Strategy During and After a Pandemic. None of the information shared here is an offer to buy a specific investment, and this is for educational purposes only. Consult your financial, legal, and tax professionals and use your own common sense before making any investment decisions. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in next time for more Mailbox Money.